The Galactic Council was in a state of shock as the humans' unexpected discovery of invisible ships sent ripples through the vast reaches of the galaxy. For centuries, the galactic species had prided themselves on their advanced technology, their ships gliding effortlessly through the stars, their weapons powerful and precise. But now, the humans had uncovered a method of travel that had been thought impossible, a technology that could render ships completely undetectable to even the most sophisticated scanning systems. The ripple effect of this discovery would not only change the way humanity was perceived in the galaxy but would also force the Galactic Council to confront uncomfortable truths about their own limitations and arrogance. It all began in a humble research facility on Earth, a place where a group of scientists had been tinkering with quantum physics and space exploration technology. They had no grand ambitions at first, no dream of revolutionizing intergalactic travel. But as they examined the data from their experiments, a breakthrough occurred, something unexpected, something that had never been seen before. Their equipment, designed to measure light and electromagnetic radiation, detected something that shouldn't have been there. Invisible waves, or rather, the absence of waves, had caused the object in question to disappear entirely from view. At first, the scientists thought it was a malfunction. But when they repeated the experiment, the result was the same. A craft, undetectable to all forms of scanning, had been created. It was a ship that didn't reflect light, didn't emit heat, and didn't give off any detectable energy. To the naked eye, it was completely invisible. But the implications of such a discovery were profound. For the first time, humanity had found a way to bypass the most advanced detection systems in the galaxy. It was a technology that could change the balance of power in the universe. As news of the discovery spread, the Galactic Council, the governing body of all known intelligent species, called an emergency meeting. Representatives from countless planets, each more technologically advanced than humanity, gathered in the council hall to discuss the implications. There was a tense atmosphere as the council members debated the significance of the discovery. Some were in denial, insisting that it was a fluke, a one-time occurrence that could never be replicated. Others were more cautious, acknowledging the potential dangers of this new technology. For the humans, this moment marked the beginning of an unexpected journey. What had once been a curiosity in a lab had now become a powerful tool, a key to opening up new frontiers in space exploration and warfare. The implications for human survival were enormous. Invisible ships could allow them to explore new territories without fear of detection. They could defend themselves against threats in ways they had never imagined before. But the Galactic Council wasn't about to let this discovery slip through their fingers. As representatives of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, they were determined to understand how the humans had managed such an impossible feat. They demanded access to the technology, hoping to reverse engineer it and use it for their own purposes. The humans, however, were wary. They had not yet fully understood the limits of their newfound ability, and they were reluctant to share it with a council that had often treated them with disdain. The council members, once condescending in their view of humanity, now found themselves in a precarious position. They could no longer dismiss the humans as a primitive species. The humans had proven their ingenuity, their ability to think outside the box and challenge the limits of science. This discovery was not just a fluke, it was a turning point in the history of their civilization. As the debate raged on, the humans remained quiet, watching and waiting. They had no interest in becoming pawns in the Council's political games. They knew that the galactic powers had often used their influence to manipulate less advanced species. Humanity had no intention of falling into that trap. But the more they learned about the Council, the more they realized that this was a fight for survival, not just in the physical sense, but in a cultural and ideological sense as well. This invisible technology had the power to reshape the future of humanity in ways they had not yet fully understood. The Galactic Council's response to the humans' discovery was not one of cooperation, but one of fear. They feared what would happen if humanity could master this technology, feared that they might one day surpass the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. For the first time in the history of the Council, humans were not simply seen as a potential threat, they were viewed as a game-changer. The Council's members knew that they had to act quickly, or risk losing their grip on power. But what actions would they take? Would they try to crush humanity's rise, or would they try to ally with them? Meanwhile, the scientists who had made the discovery were trying to unlock the full potential of the invisible ships. They faced numerous challenges, not just technical but ethical. What would this technology mean for the future of warfare? Could it be used responsibly, or would it inevitably lead to a new arms race? The world was watching closely as humanity's destiny hung in the balance. Would the discovery lead to peace or war? To cooperation or to conflict? Only time would tell. In the days that followed, as governments and scientists across Earth scrambled to understand and harness the potential of this invisible technology, the broader universe continued its uncertain dance. The Galactic Council's next move would set the stage for what was to come. Would they adapt, or would they attempt to suppress humanity's newfound power? Would this be the dawn of a new age for the galaxy, one where humanity would finally be recognized as a force to be reckoned with, or would it be the beginning of an era where the old powers of the galaxy sought to quash the rising star before it could shine? Whatever happened, one thing was clear: humanity had just stumbled upon a discovery that could alter the fate of the galaxy, and they were not going to back down from the challenge. The future was theirs to shape, and it was more uncertain, and more exciting, than ever before. As the news of humanity's discovery spread across the galaxy, the reaction from various alien species was nothing short of chaotic. The Galactic Council, despite its many decades of unity, had never faced a situation quite like this. The humans, once considered an insignificant species with little to offer in terms of advanced technology, had now become the center of attention. The invisible ships had become a symbol of human ingenuity and potential, and that frightened the powerful members of the Council. For millennia, the Galactic Council had maintained peace through the balance of power. The most advanced civilizations dominated trade routes, controlled military forces, and kept a tight grip on the political landscape. However, the appearance of invisible ships had disrupted this carefully maintained order. Even the most formidable civilizations, with their mighty fleets and advanced surveillance systems, found themselves vulnerable in ways they had never imagined. A species as young as humanity had turned the tables, and the implications were profound. On Earth, the discovery ignited a wave of excitement and fear. Governments scrambled to understand how they could control and utilize this newfound power. Military leaders saw the potential for strategic advantage, while civilians debated the ethical implications of such technology. Could the invisible ships be used for peaceful exploration, or would they open the door to unimaginable destruction? There was also the fear that other alien species, more advanced than humanity, might seek to steal the technology or use it against them. The balance of power in the galaxy was fragile, and it was clear that humanity would have to tread carefully. The temptation to use the technology for defense and control was strong, but the responsibility that came with it was immense. As the Galactic Council continued to debate, the humans remained cautious. They were not eager to share their secrets with those who had long underestimated them. The Council had never given humanity a seat at the table when it came to important decisions, and now, the humans were in a position of power. They understood the need for diplomacy, but they also recognized the value of strength. They could no longer afford to be passive players in a game controlled by others. The galaxy had underestimated them once, but it would never make that mistake again. While the Galactic Council was in turmoil, humanity's scientists and military strategists were working around the clock to understand the full capabilities of the invisible ships. The process was not easy. The technology behind the ships was more complex than anything humanity had ever encountered. Although the ships were invisible to most forms of detection, they were not completely immune to all scans. Specialized sensors were required to detect their subtle presence in space, but these sensors had yet to be perfected. Even then, they would only reveal the ship's location under very specific conditions. In addition to the technical hurdles, there were growing concerns among Earth's leaders about how to approach the situation diplomatically. Humanity had gained a powerful advantage, but wielding that power came with its own set of risks. Some factions wanted to engage with the Galactic Council, offering to share the technology in exchange for peace and security. Others, however, felt that such cooperation would be naive. After all, the Council had never shown much interest in sharing resources or knowledge with humanity in the past. Could humanity really trust them now? As discussions intensified back on Earth, the diplomatic channels with the Galactic Council were open but strained. Human representatives were being inundated with requests from Council members, each one eager to either secure the technology for their own empire or to prevent other species from gaining access to it. The debate grew increasingly polarized, with some members of the Council urging for diplomacy and cooperation, while others demanded that the invisible ship technology be seized at all costs. One of the most pressing concerns was the potential for military escalation. Several of the galaxy's most powerful species saw the humans' newfound advantage as an existential threat. They had spent centuries perfecting their own military technologies, and now they were facing an enemy that could strike without warning, invisible to every form of detection. The idea that a species as young as humanity could outmaneuver them on their own turf was unacceptable. As tensions mounted, the threat of war became more real than ever. But humanity was not blind to the danger. While many nations called for a defensive stance, others argued that the key to survival lay in using the technology for peaceful exploration. Perhaps this invisible technology could serve as a tool for humanity to find its place in the galaxy, not as a conqueror, but as a peaceful explorer, a species seeking knowledge and understanding. The dilemma was real. The future of humanity hung in the balance, and the path they chose would determine whether they would be feared or respected by the stars. As tensions in the galaxy grew, the humans faced an internal struggle over the direction they should take. Some leaders argued that the invisible ships should remain a closely guarded secret, used solely for defense against potential threats. With their ability to evade detection, these ships could offer unparalleled protection from hostile alien forces. Others, however, believed that humanity had a moral obligation to share this discovery, using it to promote peace and cooperation across the galaxy. Their argument was simple: the knowledge that could change the course of the future should not be hoarded, especially when it could lead to a more peaceful and united interstellar community. The dilemma was complex. On one hand, keeping the ship secret would ensure that humanity had an edge, a weapon that could safeguard them from the growing threats of powerful alien empires. On the other hand, sharing the technology could offer the galaxy a chance to come together, united in awe of a breakthrough that could lead to mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence. But would the Galactic Council, with its centuries of entrenched power and political infighting, be willing to accept such a change? Back in the corridors of the Galactic Council, alien leaders were scrambling to make sense of humanity's sudden rise. In private meetings, some argued for immediate action, using force, if necessary, to prevent humanity from gaining too much influence. They knew that if humans were allowed to fully develop and spread their new technology, they could quickly become a dominant force in the galaxy. And that was a thought many of the council members could not bear. The balance of power that had existed for millennia was on the verge of being upended, and the old guard was not willing to go down without a fight. Despite the looming threat, the humans remained cautiously optimistic. They had already shown the galaxy that they could innovate, that they could defy the expectations that had been placed upon them. And with the invisible ships, they now had the ability to protect themselves against those who would seek to exploit or destroy them. But with that power came responsibility, and they had to decide whether they would use it to close themselves off from the galaxy or to open the door to new possibilities. At the same time, the military leaders on Earth began to consider their next move. They knew that the rest of the galaxy would not sit idly by as humanity developed its advantage. If they were going to survive, they needed to be ready. However, there was a growing realization that the key to the future might not lie in military might but in how they chose to use the invisible ships. Could humanity lead by example, showing that the power of the galaxy could be used for peace and exploration rather than domination? The question was far from answered, and the pressure mounted with each passing day. The fate of humanity was at a crossroads, and every decision made would have lasting consequences. Would humanity choose a path of isolation, or would they dare to open up to the galaxy, showing the other species that there was another way? The stakes had never been higher. As the internal debates continued, humanity's leaders knew they could not afford to delay much longer. The Galactic Council had grown increasingly restless, and some of its more aggressive factions had begun to take action. Secretly, they began to assemble fleets and mobilize resources, preparing for what they feared could be an inevitable confrontation. The invisible ships, a symbol of humanity's potential, had quickly become a symbol of fear in the eyes of the galactic powers. Their mere existence was enough to shake the foundations of the Council, and the powerful factions were determined not to let this new threat go unchecked. In response, Earth's leaders held emergency summits to discuss how best to approach the situation. Military advisors suggested a show of force, a display of humanity's power using the invisible ships, to deter any would-be aggressors. Others, however, warned that such a move would likely provoke a full-scale war, one that humanity was not yet prepared for. It was a precarious moment, one where any wrong step could lead to irreparable consequences. Meanwhile, the scientists who had first uncovered the invisible ships were working feverishly to understand the full scope of their capabilities. They were still far from mastering the technology, and the risks of using it in an untested state were considerable. The ships themselves were difficult to pilot, their systems complex and unpredictable. It was clear that, even with all the potential they offered, humanity was still in the early stages of understanding this powerful discovery. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the ships, humanity's growing unity became one of their strongest assets. Unlike the fractured factions within the Galactic Council, Earth's leaders were, for the most part, able to speak with one voice. The military and scientific communities were working together, pooling their resources and knowledge to maximize their potential. And as they did, humanity's resolve began to solidify: they would not be manipulated, and they would not be intimidated. They had survived against overwhelming odds before, and they would do so again. However, there was still a deeper question that lingered, one that concerned not only the future of humanity but the very nature of their place in the galaxy. Would they remain a species that had only ever reacted to the actions of others, or could they redefine themselves as a force for something greater? It was clear that their discovery of invisible ships had given them power, but power alone would not define their legacy. For the first time, humanity had the opportunity to shape the future on their own terms. And that responsibility weighed heavily on them. The decisions they made would not only determine their future, but also their role in the galaxy. Would they rise to the challenge and prove that they were capable of becoming a beacon of peace, or would they fall into the same patterns of fear and distrust that had plagued the galaxy for centuries? The next steps would define not just their future, but the future of the galaxy itself. With every passing day, the pressure on humanity grew. And as the Galactic Council's forces prepared for action, Earth's leaders knew that time was running out. The decision was clear: they would have to act, and they would have to act fast. The galaxy was watching, and the outcome of their choices would send ripples through the universe, for better or worse. As the crisis reached its peak, Earth's leaders knew they had to make a bold decision. They could no longer afford to wait and see how things played out. The growing hostility from the Galactic Council's more aggressive factions made it clear that a peaceful resolution was unlikely. The window for diplomacy was closing fast, and with it, humanity's hope for a future free of galactic conflict. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of the future rested squarely on their shoulders. In the final moments before taking action, Earth's leadership convened one last time. They discussed the path forward in hushed voices, acknowledging that the world's fate was about to change forever. There were those who still believed that diplomacy could work, that humanity could use the invisible ships to broker peace and force the Galactic Council to recognize their place in the galaxy. But others, especially military leaders, felt that the only way forward was through strength. If humanity was going to survive, they needed to show the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. And so, after much deliberation, Earth made its choice. They would open their doors to the galaxy, but on their terms. The plan was simple yet dangerous. The leaders of Earth decided to announce their discovery to the entire galaxy in a public broadcast, showcasing the invisible ships and their potential. But instead of using the ships as tools of war, they would present them as a symbol of humanity's commitment to exploration, to discovery, and to peace. They would reach out to the galaxy's peaceful civilizations, inviting them to join in this new age of cooperation. At the same time, they would make it clear to the more hostile factions that humanity would defend itself if necessary. They would not be cowed by threats, but they would not be the aggressors either. The broadcast went live, and the galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity unveiled its secret. Ships of all sizes and shapes, invisible to the eye but powerful in their potential, appeared on screens across the galaxy. The leaders of Earth spoke of unity, of peaceful exploration, and of the hope that the invisible ships could be used to forge a new future, a future where war would no longer dominate the stars. The broadcast was a bold statement. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not through force, but through collaboration. The response from the Galactic Council was immediate. Some members expressed shock, while others reacted with hostility. But there were also those who saw the potential for cooperation, for a new era of peace. The council was divided, and the debate would continue for months, if not years, to come. But one thing was certain: humanity had successfully proven its place in the galaxy. In the end, it was not just the technology that changed the course of history, but the choice humanity made in how to use it. They chose to show the galaxy that their strength did not lie in their ability to destroy, but in their capacity to build, to explore, and to connect. The invisible ships were not just a symbol of military power, they were a testament to humanity's potential for greatness. The future of the galaxy remained uncertain, but humanity's place in it was no longer in question. They had proved that even the smallest among the stars could rise to meet the challenges of the universe, and in doing so, had forever changed the course of galactic history.